Do you have any confirmation that the Syrian peace talks are going to resume on the 11th?
I do. Well, I mean, we do. We have seen that the UN plans to resume talks in Geneva next Monday on April 11th, and certainly we recognize Special Envoy de Misture's leadership. We also understand that he is actually in Moscow today for preparatory discussions prior to resuming negotiations.
And given that de Mistura is the envoy is in Moscow, are you making any headway as far as the political transition and specifically the issue of Assad being one of the main topics now going into the second round?
Well, as you know, we've been very clear that our expectation is that these upcoming negotiations will address or take up the core issue of this political transition. Excuse me. You know where we stand on it. You know, we don't believe that Assad has the legitimacy to be any kind of leader of his people going forward. We, however, respect the process and the right of the HNC as well as the regime to negotiate what this political transition and its modalities and its timeline look like going forward. But we're going to continue to stand by and support the HNC in Geneva in support of its demands. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted what you said just then. That you respect the right of the HNC and the
I'm just saying.
Of the regime.
Sorry,
I mean, if this is a guy whose government who has lost all legitimacy and lost all credibility to run, how does he have a right to? I'm
saying the regime, and this is what we're saying. Let me rephrase that and just say we respect. Let me finish. We respect these talks and their goal of creating a political transition and a timeline for that transition. So all I'm simply stating is our position on Assad and his legitimacy to be a future leader of Syria is well known. That notwithstanding, we do believe that this is to be negotiated by the parties in Geneva, and we respect that process. That's all I'm saying.
But has there been some you guys have come to the conclusion that the regime no longer represents Assad, the person, the man?
Not at all, Matt. But I am recognizing that this is a process set up by the UN and Staffan de Mistura. Okay, got it. Yeah. No, please stand.
Is it your understanding that the upcoming round will again be proximity talks? And then if so, what is the U.S. position in the framework of the ISSG on when the transition needs to take place to direct talks?
Both good questions. I don't have clarity on whether these would actually begin as or transition to away from proximity talks. My sense is that they would at least begin as proximity talks again. But again, we want the focus of this next round of talks to be on the details of what a political transition would look like, certainly under the terms of UN Security Council Resolution 2254 and the Geneva Communique. And that's something Secretary Kerry spoke about when he met with Foreign Minister Lavrov last month. But as to whether we can't predict, frankly, whether there would be direct talks at this point. I'd refer you to de Mistura for that.
Would the Kurds participate this time, do you think?
I think it's just the members of the HNC, is my understanding at this point. It's the same grouping, the same members of the HNC who participated in the previous round. Please.